two areas you're very concerned about as a neuroscientist are AI and social media and the impact these phenomena are having on kids' brains. Tell me what your concerns are on both fronts.
All right, well, buckle up. Let's start with AI. So fundamentally, the brain is all about efficiency. It wants to only use its capacity when things are important. Anything that you do repeatedly becomes hardwired, and it's a physical change that happens in the brain. It takes a lot of energy, lots of little proteins get made, and you get these brand new connections forming. It's a big job, and the brain only wants to invest in that energy and in making that connection if it's something that you do frequently. So if you're using AI to, for example, get information or come up with creative ideas or do something, you're not using those pathways in the brain. And so fundamentally speaking, if you're not using them, you're losing them. It's the same as when we introduce calculators. We don't do mental maths in our head anymore, do we? So what worries me most about for the next generation is if they don't develop those skills in the first place because they're relying on AI. AI has been around for 2 years now? My third-year students, and by the way, I'm speaking for my colleagues across the sector. I'm not just saying here, this is a universal problem that we're seeing. Third-year students, they built that fundamental knowledge. They know the substance of the topics that they're doing, so they can recall that information and use it and assimilate it in any setting. For example, the healthcare setting. The students who have come to university and are using AI to help them with their assignments, even though they shouldn't be, let's be honest, they're doing it. They're not building that fundamental knowledge. And so they can't recall that information when they're asked to recall it. And that is a huge problem, especially if we're thinking about the healthcare scenario where you need to be thinking on your feet. You cannot AI the answer to, a healthcare problem. In terms of social media, there's a few things that we know, for example, that it's affecting our attention and it's addictive. So in terms of our attention, now with social media, especially with things like TikTok or YouTube Shorts, we've got lots of interesting short videos that are one after the other. That is eroding our attention spans, and evidence suggests that just 1 hour of social media use in teens causes attention deficits. So I'm not saying it causes ADHD, which is a neurodevelopmental disorder, but it is causing attention deficits. We know that. In terms of addiction, when you're looking at these videos, you've got this very short time between an action and a result. So you swipe and then you see a video that you like. And that is wiring our brains in the same way that, like a slot machine. Like, think of it going to a casino. You're sitting at a slot machine, you press the button and you've got $5. Awesome. Why wouldn't you keep doing that? The thing is, teens' brains get $50 in return. Their brains are hardwired to feel more of a reward response. So we are creating a problem. And the thing is, when you are addicted to one thing, you're much more likely to be addicted to the next thing. So we're creating this environment. Now, there's an even bigger problem. Around 2010, 2012, we saw this massive uptick in depression, anxiety, and suicide. Before then, everything had been pretty stable, and then there's this massive uptick. What's changed around then? Social media is really the big thing. So this is correlation, not causation. Let me be clear on that. But here are some things we do know. So if kids are spending, let's say, 8 hours a day on their phone, maybe 5 of that is on social media, that's as much time as we would spend sleeping or at school. And suddenly that's on a phone. That's 56 hours per week that you are now sedentary. You are not exercising. I could spend an hour talking about how important exercise is for the brain. It is important for cognition and allowing our brain to just function normally. So we're losing that. It's eroding our sleep. We're spending less time sleeping. We're staying up later on our phones. And our circadian rhythm is this exquisite balance. It is designed to have hormones released at certain times of the day, and we are getting that out of kilter. That is causing issues. And the loss of sleep. Sleep is one of the pillars of health. We are losing that as well. We are not spending time outside. Nature, being in nature, decreases our stress hormones. Kids are sitting at home. They're not going out into the the park or whatever it might be, the cul-de-sac, the street, playing with other kids, we are not having that social interaction. That social interaction is really important in that early developmental period.
How do the stats on this anxiety and depression compare to what we knew about lung cancer and smoking back in the day?
Well, look, we know that smoking increases lung cancer by about 30%. We know that. Look at the amazing legislation changes that we have done in response to that. We reacted to that knowledge. We now know...
Took us a while,
but we got there. So if suddenly we know that this thing, social media, is increasing anxiety, depression, suicide by up to 200%, it's more in girls than it is in boys, then that is a frightening statistic. Why aren't we acting on that?
Yes, we need to be. Yes, but many people would say, well, good luck with that.
Yeah, well, the conversation needs to be part of the mainstream. It is a difficult truth. How do you make that change? You know, it's part of our lives. But I guess smoking was too. So it just shows that it is possible.